Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about The Monkey. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, we got three names listed here: Stephen King, James Wan, and Osgood Perkins. Now, Stephen King. Who doesn't know who Stephen King is at this point? Like, come on now. Everyone knows who he is. The king of horror. He wrote a shit ton of books, shit ton of novels, and those novels have been adapted into various movies and films over the last few decades. But we're here to talk about the films because that's what's really important. Now, the adaptations can be very, very, very hit or miss. But the highest high of these adaptations was the It movies back in 2017, 2019. It Chapter 1 doing insanely well for itself when it released. It Chapter 2 didn't do as well, but still made a whole lot of money for a horror flick. But besides the It movies, there have been some hits, here and there. For example, 1408, that was a hit. Green Mile, that's not really a horror movie, but it was written by him. Green Mile is like considered a classic. Misery is absolutely a classic. Yeah. Well, Shawshank Redemption didn't do well in theaters, but it did way, way, way better on the home market and is now considered a classic. I know is The Running Man, was that a hit? I know it's getting a remake, I think for this year, but I'm pretty sure that was a success. And then you got Carrie, The Shining, some really classic horror movies in here. So yeah, that's just a few examples of of successful Stephen King adaptations, as commercially or critically. So that's Stephen King. James Wan, I might as well mention him. I mean, it's on the poster. This man's responsible for some of the biggest horror series of the 21st century. Saw, Insidious, Conjuring. Like, he started all those movies. So this man has a bit of a horror empire under him. Not to mention he's been able to you know, I guess expand beyond horror and do more like blockbuster movies like Furious 7 and the Aquaman movies. Yeah, he's mainly a producer now, but I mean, he's got a lot of hits under his resume. Directing and producing. So, yeah. I say it makes sense that his name is associated with this. And then we got Osgood Perkins, who made a little movie last year called Longlegs. Yeah. Longlegs was a movie I never even really heard of before it came out. I missed out on all the hype because it was all happening like underneath, like under my nose. Like, I had no clue what was going on. But then when it opened, I was like, okay, it's probably gonna open with like 5 million max. Open with 22 million. I was like, what the actual shit is going on? It ended up being like a big old surprise hit, and ended up making 74 million domestically, which is the biggest ever for Neon, the distributor. So I imagine they were real giddy about the monkey after the success of Longlegs. I mean, it only makes sense. So, yeah. Yeah, so the fact that this movie's coming out like less than a year after Longlegs, I say is a good thing because it keeps Oz Perkins, it keeps his name like fresh, like in the minds of like I guess, the movie going public, and he was no doubt going to start developing like a following. He already has developed a following at this point. So all three of these names here, I label them all as pros. So that's pro number one. Pro number two is the fact that really there's no real competition out there. I know there's Captain America Brave New World, but that movie is looking like it's going to fall apart this weekend. So, yeah. And besides that, there really isn't much of anything. There's no real direct competition for this. I mean, Hard Eyes is going to fall off the face of the earth this weekend. I know that for sure. And the next horror movie coming out is, God, I don't even know what is it actually. I think it might be late March. I know there's that Woman in the Yard movie. I think that might be it. There might be something else. Let me see. Let me look at the schedule. I guess in terms of like a serious horror movie. There's Opus. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, it's more of like a thriller. It's not really a horror movie. Uh, yeah, The Woman in the Yard. That's definitely a horror movie. Yeah. That's not till March 28th. Literally a whole month from now. So that's good for the monkey. There's no serious direct competition until then. And everything else, that's out. It's just not gonna directly affect this thing. So yeah, in terms of direct competition being very, very, very limited, and because yeah, I'll label that as a pro. Another pro is that reviews for the monkey have been pretty good, as a 77% critic score, which is more than solid. Its audience score is less than that, which I'll talk about later when we get to cons, but the critic score is still solid, so label that as a pro. Another pro is the fact this is from Neon. As I mentioned, Osgood Perkins' last movie, Longlegs, became their biggest hit ever domestically. So they've been gaining a lot of momentum in like the last year or so with Longlegs and then Immaculate and then Honora. They've been gaining some momentum, which is good for them because that's what like the box office needs. Is like more, big, well, not really big. It's best to have like more studios out there releasing like, you know, I guess, nice mid-range movies. Because you can't just rely on blockbusters all the time. You need more than that. So, yeah. Yeah, so Neon, in fact they have, having the fact that they got momentum right now, kind of like, similar to A24, I'll label that as a pro. Another pro is that this movie's preview numbers are pretty solid, 1.9 million. I mean, it's not as good as Longlegs, which I believe was like 3 million. Actually, I will check that just to be sure. Gotta go all the way back though. Longlegs. How did that do? 3 million. Okay. Alright, Longlegs had the advantage of opening in July, while Monkeys in February. So, again, Longlegs had an advantage there. But so 1.9 million for something like this, that's not bad. So I'll label its preview numbers as a pro. I think that's really it with all the pros. Okay, cons. Well, actually, no, there's another pro. Said, the marketing's been pretty solid. I mean, that first trailer, that teaser trailer, sold me. It sold me the same way the teaser trailer for Companion made me go, I need to see this movie. That's what happened here. I saw that teaser trailer. I was like, okay, this is gonna be one of those crazy movies. I'm on board. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it, and so I did. So in the marketing, I'd label that as a pro because it pulled me in. Okay, now cons. I mentioned the critic score, the audience score. Looking at it right now, it's a 68%, which is really not good. And I'm about to look into it to see like what the vibe is. Okay, it's a 70%. So it's not quite as bad, but still not good. For like, I guess a general sense. Not the best, not the type of audience score you want to get. But then keep in mind, Longlegs, despite all the acclaim it got, and Longlegs and all of its acclaim, it has a 61% audience score. So yeah, Longlegs was pretty divisive amongst like I guess general audiences, not just like genre fans. But this has been received better than Longlegs, and actually look at its cinema score. The Monkey has a C plus, which is pretty average for horror movies on cinema score. Longlegs also got a C plus, so there's nothing like really that crazy going on. But I do want to know like the vibe of this thing. I do want to know how people feel. Uh the let's see. It got 4 stars. Didn't take itself seriously at all, and the kills were unique. Overall, really fun ride. You got 1.5 stars. It was painfully bad. I can't tell if movies try to be better or just are anymore. A couple of deaths were comical. Well, I guess it's also the fact that this movie is more like a horror comedy compared to Longlegs, which took itself like dead serious. So some people might be a little thrown off by the tonal change compared to his last movie. So that could be a bit of an issue. uh, the 2 stars. I love the short story, but the movie was subpar. Good kill scenes. Uh, yeah. Yeah. I feel like just reading some of these, people were expecting more of like a straight horror flick, and then watching the movie itself really isn't that. It does lean a lot more towards comedy, and there was some like legitimately like super funny moments, and plus the movie has a kind of a fucked up sense of humor about it that I like, but some other people may not like. So yeah, it seems to be very divisive amongst like the general audiences, and that could affect its I guess rewatch value or replay value or whatever. So yeah, mixed, polarizing audience reception. I'll label that as a con. Granted, that didn't hurt Longlegs at all, so we'll see if that affects this movie, if it actually does affect this thing. Um, any other cons really? I guess one could say there's been kind of an overload of horror movies this year already. We're only like 2 months into the year, and we've had like several horror movies like back to back to back. So there's a small chance that genre fans might be a bit tired. They might need a bit of a break. They're not going to get much of a break for the rest of the year because this year is super prolific for the horror genre. I mean, seriously, we got just this summer, we got Final Destination Bloodlines, We got 28 years later. We got Megan 2.0. We got the I Know What You Did Last Summer remake. Because you got those. Then even before then, I mean, you got the Until Dawn movie. You got, I guess, Sinners. I guess I can label that as a horror movie. But that's just like a few off the top of my head. I haven't mentioned like the fact there's supposed to be Saw 11. There's supposed to be Black Phone 2. There's supposed to be Five Nights at Freddy's 2. There's a lot. There's no shortage of horror movies this year. So one could say genre overload could be a bit of a problem. It could prevent this movie from reaching its full potential. So I guess I'll label that as a bit of a minor con. And I think that's really it. So opening weekend, looking at projections, this is projected to open between 12 and 14 million, which, I guess sounds about right. I mean, it's no Long Legs, but I don't think very few people believe this would match Long Legs. I guess I'll stick with that. 12 to 14 million. Might as well. So yeah, 12 to 14 million opening weekend. Its total, Long Legs had a decent life. I'm not sure if this will though. All depends on like week 2, but I'm gonna say 30 million plus, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go say 30 million plus. That's what I think. I'm confident in that, and that's what I'm gonna go with. So that was The Monkey. Then we got one more movie to talk about this weekend. It's only a 2-movie weekend, which is great for me. That movie is The Unbreakable Boy. After years of it being on the shelf, I finally get to talk about it in a video. So, that'll be next. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage. All previous prediction videos I made this year, the past few years. You want to watch any of those videos, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't, for like 250 episodes. I never talked about The Monkey once. But if you still want to watch that series, you want to binge watch that whole playlist, go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. February recap, that'll be probably within the first 2 weeks of March. Yeah, around the first 2 weeks of March. So stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.